Do you ever wonder, like, who else is messing with your brother? My body like this. Hey guys, what's up? It's Imurgency and welcome back to my channel. Today we are back and we're talking about tropes, and not just any trope, mind you. One specific trope that has caught my eye, caught my attention, for better or for worse, and that is the brothers love triangle trope. It's a trope that we've been seeing a lot in recent media, specifically with shows like The Summer I Turned Pretty, as well as My Life with the Walter Boys. And when I initially saw this with The Summer I Turned Pretty, I was like, oh, this is interesting. I don't think I've seen something quite like this before. And then when My Life with the Walter Boys came out, I was like, oh, I know where I've seen this before. And I just feel like overall this trope is just kind of weird. We have this girl who's put in a position where not just one boy is obsessed with her, where this boy's brother is also obsessed with the main character. And the main character spends the entire plot of the show trying to figure out what this means and what they mean to her. And that's just a strange plot point to me. And we're gonna break down exactly why that is. Really diving into this trope, why it's popular, how it's fundamentally different from regular love triangles in media, and how its recent prevalence in media has been impacting its viewers. And then at the end, I'll give you all my unfiltered thoughts on what I think about this trope, because we have a lot to talk about. But before we do that, if you're new to the channel, then definitely subscribe so that you don't miss out on any of the content that I have coming out on this channel every single week. That's at least 2 videos a week. And if you want to go the extra mile and become a channel member, 2 additional exclusive show review videos a month, along with early access to all of my videos here. And for those that want to go the extra mile to support the channel and become tier 3 members, they get a shout out at the end of every single video. So if you're interested in any of that, you can click the join button down below. And if you don't feel like doing that, something that you can do for free to support the channel is leave a like on this video, because it helps out a ton with the YouTube algorithm. And you can also follow me on my socials here at Imurgency on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, where you can keep up with me on a day-to-day whenever I'm not posting over here, and maybe get some fashion and lifestyle inspo. I don't know, maybe check it out. But enough shameless promo. Let's talk about brother love triangles. First and foremost, what are we even talking about? What are brother love triangles? Well, never fear, because we have a good definition. well, no, maybe not an exact definition for brother love triangles, because I feel like that is kind of niche. We'll get a roomy definition for that, but let's take a look at the regular love triangles for a second. So according to tvtropes.org, which of course is where I get all of my TV trope related information from, the brother love triangle, or specifically in this case, the sibling triangle, is a love triangle where 2 of the parties involved are siblings who both love, or at least trying to get at, a third party. And to take that a step further, when we talk about brother love triangles, or at least how we've been seeing them in media, this third party is usually interested to varying extents in both siblings, and that third party, who also tends to be the main character, dibbles and dabbles with both. Now, I can't claim the sibling love triangle or brother love triangle to be something that is exclusively native to the TV media genre, because actually this trope stems from actual literature tropes, basically tropes that you see a lot in rom-com or rom-dram books. As both examples that we're talking about in this video, being The Summer I Turned Pretty and My Life with the Walter Boys, initially came out as books. And this trope is very common throughout the book community. Like, you can literally look up so many books that have this trope and follow this trope, which brings me to the next question of why do people actually love this trope so much, where it has this much prevalence in both the bookish and in the TV and movie community? Well, in order to do that, I feel like we need to also unpack why people love love triangles to begin with. Regular love triangles are an extremely common trope in media, and actually are kind of expected for a lot of romance and drama shows, as it allows the viewer to live vicariously through the main character, essentially feeding our love for a messy, tumultuous, and otherwise busy love life. Because I know for certain a lot of us ain't living like this. Like 2 love interests? A lot of y'all struggling for just one, and I'm y'all. That reminds me of that one Keith Lee clip where he's like, "You the girl." You the girl. Essentially, as quoted in an essay by Maria Sofia Andrea Roseo, people latch onto that thrilling feeling of being wanted not just by one love interest, but by 2. And like I said, love triangles are super prevalent in media. Like, honestly, just think of any of your favorite shows and they likely have a love triangle in it. God forbid it's a coming of age or young adult show. Like, think of Carly, Stan and Freddie, Riverdale, Archie, Betty, Jughead, Archie, Veronica, Betty, and more. Honestly, I feel like Riverdale is the king of a love triangle or a love quad or whatever they had going on in that show. Euphoria with Maddie, Cassie, and Nate, as well as Rue, Jules, and Elliot. Insecure with Issa, and honestly all the love interests that she had at the time, as well as Molly, and many, many more. And if you know me and have been following this channel for any amount of time, you know that I am not the biggest fan of a love triangle. I feel like love triangles, while they can be fun in some instances, are kind of lazy, because I feel like the type of dynamics and things that love triangles tend to go through are kind of one note and are typically done the same way. But brother love triangles are a completely different story, because brother love triangles just sort of give me a little bit of an ick. And not necessarily just the brother love triangle of it all, but just sibling love triangles as a whole just kind of ick me out. And I feel like this trope has been showing up so much and has been so popular as of recently with rom-com shows like The Summer I Turned Pretty and My Life with the Walter Boys. Like in The Summer I Turned Pretty, you have the main character Belly, who's kind of crushing on her family friends Conrad and Jeremiah, who also happen to be brothers. You have Conrad, who's kind of like the broody and moody older brother, doesn't really know how to communicate, is kind of distant, is kind of like cool-ish. And his main thing is like he doesn't communicate his feelings directly and he struggles to do that. And spoiler alert if you haven't seen these shows, he ultimately ends up with Belly in season 1. Then you have the younger brother Jeremiah, who's like more carefree, fun, free-spirited, and also coincidentally is more forward with his feelings, who Belly initially overlooks in season 1 but ends up with in season 2. Then you have My Life with the Walter Boys, which has a similar premise. We have the main character Jackie, who unfortunately loses her family to a car accident and is forced to move into this house across the country that's full of boys and one girl, and 2 brothers that are in that family end up falling for Jackie. And this one's a little bit more strange just because Jackie's meant to become one of the siblings, so there's more of a, hey, we're all part of this family now, but like I kind of like you, let's see what that's about, which is a little ooh. But one of the younger brothers, Alex, is like the awkward, heavy on awkward, might I add, younger brother who's like the safer choice, is super wholesome, but also is like very forward with his feelings, and he's the one that actually gets a official relationship with Jackie. Then you have the older brother Cole, who's like the bad boy, tortured soul, brooding fix-em-up boy with tons of issues that definitely need therapy to unpack, and he also can't communicate his feelings directly really, and he essentially plays Jackie throughout the show, even though he like really likes her. And that's cool and all, because I feel like that's like love triangle-y stuff. But I feel like what's different about these love triangles specifically is the brother aspect of it all. The fact that these are 2 siblings fighting over the same person. Because I feel like when it comes to sibling or brother love triangles, they're just so different because they play on the dynamics of family, bro/sis code, and proximity. And it's time we talk about it. Like, let's start with family. Like when it comes down to these shows, the dynamic of these brother love triangles essentially involves one of the 3 being an outsider who has a close to almost familial connection to the family at large, and 2 brothers who are directly related. For example, Belly is essentially a very close family friend to the Fishers, and she's grown up with them to the point where they're essentially family. And then in Walter Boys, Jackie is literally inducted into this family. Like she's essentially incentivized to become siblings with everyone because that's the only community that she has left. Like of course they're not related, but for all intents and purposes, they're all siblings together growing up. And before I go any further in this, I want to clarify, because I can already see the comments of people misconstruing what I'm trying to say. I'm not implying that the intentions behind these plot points behind this trope is malicious or intentionally creepy at all. Like the childhood friends to lovers trope is nothing new and is completely fine and dandy. I'm just saying that it's kind of weird on a high level when that childhood friend is referenced as family in the show. And I feel like that applies more so to Walter Boys than anything. Then we have the whole bro and sis code of it all. And when I'm talking about bro code, I don't mean like the chatty kind of like bro code. I mean like literally like brothers. Because like deep this, from the brother's perspective or just the sibling perspective, why would you want to be with the same person that your sibling was with? Like you know that your sibling likes this person and in some cases has dated this person. Why would you want to also date that same person? I don't know, to each their own, but I don't know about all that. And then from the non-sibling perspective, why would you want to get with someone in the same family as the other person you're interested in? And why is everyone else in this situation just okay with that? You know, why are the parents just being like, oh, they're just kids, I always saw them fated to be together? Like again, I'd understand that if it was just a regular like childhood friends to lovers, but it's the messiness of it all that it's 2 siblings fighting it out for one person that gets a little strange. Like as a parent, would you not want to intervene and being like, okay, girl, y'all both like her. Maybe y'all should work that out before, you know, you engage. And maybe this messiness fighting amongst each other is just a little strange, you know? But again, it's fictional, so applying logic like that doesn't necessarily work. I'm just pointing out why it's a little, Then you have the proximity of it all, where a lot of the fuel behind this trope essentially comes from the fact that these pairings are just always in each other's face. Like there's usually a situation where they're always just together, the 3 of them, where of course there would be some sort of attraction going on. But I feel like when it comes to brother love triangles, specifically. A lot of the plot revolves around these characters discovering the difference between attraction, platonic love, and romantic love. Because I fear in a lot of these cases, these characters don't actually love each other the way they say they do, and either just find them attractive or just love them so much from being literally raised with them, or just having had nice experiences with one of them and are confusing those intimate feelings of love with romantic love. And that's why they don't work out, because at the end of the day, if you look at the trend of these shows, usually one brother just does not make sense at all. Like one you can clearly see and just be like, okay, this is a better choice, a better option, and or one brother just does not have chemistry with the main character at all. I'm gonna clock that. And this is a trend because they all usually play out a very similar way. Like there's always the main character who goes in being like this either super innocent or just like super independent character who's initially very driven and personable and having their own stuff really going on for them. Encounter these two brothers, or one is really a more goofy, laid back, unserious type that she can't really know if she can trust and put her heart in like that. Or another one is super stoic or just like too cool, but it's usually like what the show wants you to believe is the hotter one, which is the one that the main character really wants instinctually, but because he's so hot, he has these things going on in his mind that don't allow the full package to really be there. And it's this clear like first choice versus second choice, but she's like, which one should I go to? I don't really know. Like it plays out a similar way, at least for what I've seen in the scope of the show. I will admit that I have not read the book, so I don't know how these stories eventually pan out, but for the scope of what we've seen so far, yeah, that's like the general theme. And I want to expand this trope to not just like brothers, but just like siblings overall, because we see these sibling love triangles as well that play out similar to this. Like Elite is a really great example of this. Like when you had Patrick and Ari fighting over Yvonne, although in that case both siblings were a mess, but it still goes around the fundamentals. But I feel like in that example it really does harp on like the negatives of like a sibling love triangle, of just being like, why are two siblings fighting over someone? And why is that one person so okay with knowing what's going on and what the implications and consequences of pursuing this are and still going for it anyway? And that's not to put shame or blame on either the main character or the person who's not a sibling, but it's just like, why are you shocked that things go wrong and relationships are torn and tattered and drastically altered when you know that you are playing with actual family dynamics? Like these are familial issues. Like of course they're gonna carry weight to them. So don't be like, I can't believe that the family isn't the same anymore, when that is exactly what's going on. But that's enough yapping for me for now. I wanna try something a little different with this video and highlight what viewers, AKA y'all, think and feel about this trope. Now I asked y'all in the community tab section for y'all's opinions and thoughts on the brothers love triangle trope, and y'all definitely delivered. So if you like this section, let me know down in the comments and we'll do more of them. And if you want to participate more in these in the future, then you can click the notification bell to get notified whenever I do make those community tab posts, so that you can always see them and participate, so that you can be featured in a video. But let's talk about it. What are y'all thinking? Kimmy Alexis 48314 says that I'm tired, it's played out. Cut it out immediately, especially when it eclipses the female's overall character development and her personality becomes her love life with two brothers. And that's such an interesting point to highlight, because looking at how these shows usually play out, the female lead usually gets wrapped up in these two characters, and the majority of the character development that she ends up getting is usually only towards getting her to empathize with, understand, or just generally further the relationship with the boys, whether that be to go for one, both, or neither. And I was kind of alluding to this earlier when I was talking about how initially, especially the female leads have a lot going for them at first. Like for Jackie, for instance, she has a lot going for her. She gets money, she's super smart, super pretty, and she has dreams and ambitions. And while yes, she still at a core follows those values, a lot of her character development revolves around basically taking care of both brothers and appeasing both of them and learning how to work around these characters. Like she essentially has to babysit Cole into actually being able to communicate and have him become a better person. Like I think there's actually lines in the show where characters are like, wow, like Jackie's been really good for Cole. Like Cole's been changing for the better because of Jackie. And then with Alex, a lot of it is around her and realizing that she actually does not like this boy as much as she thinks she does, as she has to work around his own insecurity. Luckily, she's able to, and again, spoiler alert, get out of that situation at the end of the season. But yeah, I feel like Kimmy made a good point on that. Amara Octavia says that I feel that there should be more sister love triangles to make it even. And honestly, that's fair, because I feel like there aren't as many of those, at least not that I can think of. But then there's the thing of like, do we really want to see two girls fighting over a boy? Like two boys fighting over a girl? Yeah, as they should. But two girls fighting over a boy? Maybe fun to get sapphic with it. Two girls fighting over a girl? That might be tea. Give us a sapphic love triangle. Actually, we did get that with Everything Now, but that wasn't like sibling related. And y'all saw how that was tea. Everything Now review is available for channel members, by the way. Maxi7891 says that brother love triangles are weird, like romantic drama can be fun, but I don't want to get involved with your family issues from the jump. And that's real, because when you're signing up for a brother love triangle, you're not necessarily just signing up for the person, but with the whole family drama that comes with it. Because for all intents and purposes, for the case of these two shows, they're essentially part of the family as well. So they are dealing with it, whether that be the house and mom stuff with the Summer I Turned Pretty, or the house and money and family stuff from Walter Boys. So I can agree with parts of that. And then I feel this last one kind of speaks to a lot of people and a lot of people's opinions about this kind of trope. King Vamp Stan 8 says that I hate it, but I always eat them up and loved my life with the Walter Boys. And I feel like that's real. I feel like a lot of people don't necessarily love this trope. It's not their favorite, but it's like their guilty pleasure. Like they'll always come back and they'll always watch this sort of show because it's interesting. It's something novel. It's like not your traditional love triangle. That sibling piece kind of spices it up. But in the same breath, it's also kind of like, why are we fighting in the family? That's a little weird. Thank you to everyone that submitted their thoughts. Now we're about this video with my thoughts on brother love triangles. I'm gonna be honest here. At the end of the day, this trope is fun. And I don't want to discount that by any means, or just really make it seem like this video is like a hate video on the trope, because it's not that. Like I wouldn't have tuned into both these shows if that were the case. Like I don't necessarily despise this trope. I just think that it's fair and honestly warranted to have some discourse about how this trope can be a little strange, you know? And while I don't hate seeing it, I also don't love it either, because I feel like it requires a level of suspension of disbelief that I just don't have the mental fortitude for it at this current moment. Like I can't hold that space for an entire season. Like what do you mean out of all people on this earth, out of all people in your town, you're having a love triangle, an emotional struggle between two siblings? Like how does that make sense? Like is there no one else? Like no one else at all besides these two siblings that you really just want so bad? And I feel like a lot of the time, I mentioned this before, a lot of the time, either one or both love interests just aren't compatible or just don't really go well with the main character. So I'm just kind of left there like, what's going on? Like I get the appeal of the genre and being able to split into like, I don't know, like Team Conrad or Team Jeremiah. But personally, I always end up being Team Belly or like Team Jackie, because at the end of the day, like girl, aspire for higher. Like again, I get the appeal of like childhood best friend turned lover, but like I'm sure there's someone in the world that is going to love and care for you more than someone from your hometown or someone that you knew since birth. And I just personally really love when the main character chooses neither. And you're just like, all right, I'm out, which is why I was so gagged. Again, spoiler, at the end of Walter Boys, because Jackie really gagged the both of them. She got her last licks from Alex, got her last licks from Cole, and then she's like, all right, I'm out. Back to New York I go. And honestly, she was queening out because yes, like she got her ass back on the soonest plane back home. And honestly, can't slight her for it. I was like, we'll see what happens next season. But for right now, you're eating. But yeah, I feel like that sums up my thoughts on the brother love triangle trope. Again, don't hate it, but also don't love it either. Love to see something else come from the rom-com genre or the rom-dram genre. I have a feeling that there are going to be a large group of people that don't agree with my opinion, and that's okay. We don't all gotta like the same type of shows, which is fine. But I would like to hear why or why not down in the comments below. Let me know all of your thoughts. Are you a huge fan of the brother love triangle trope? Are you indifferent to it, or are you like me that isn't a huge fan of it, but is going to tune in regardless? Thanks again so much for watching. Again, if you're new to the channel, then hit that subscribe button and leave a like on this video. Follow me on my socials at Imurgency. Consider hitting the join button to support the channel. But other than that, y'all, I've been Imurgency, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.